Hello, welcome to Lemon Studios, where we talk anything and everything entertainment. I'm, of course, the Lemon himself, Zeke Lamone, and this is my review for the January 10th, 2025 episode of Friday Night SmackDown. But before we get into that, let's get the house clean out of the way. Share item to leave a like, comment below, let them know your thoughts on this episode of SmackDown, and of course, hit that subscribe button as it helps me grow into my YouTube career. I would greatly appreciate it. Now, all that out of the way, let's get into the review, shall we? So the second episode of SmackDown, that is 3 hours, and a lot online was being discussed about this, that hey, it was a drag. That it was boring, it was horrible, blah, 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 blah. A lot of negativity to it. And you know me, I'm one of the defenders of that we should go to 3 hours because it just makes more opportunities for the superstars and for the titles that we have that are in with story. I know the main discourse on the IWC is that this is going to be overexposure for WWE. And to me, I'm just like, well, if you keep hitting it out of the park and hitting home runs consistently, at some point you're just going to have to make the field bigger. So I think this is what WWE is doing. And I also think there's a lot of things new when it comes to SmackDown, not just with the runtime, but reestablishing the tag division, establishing this new Women's United States Champion, establishing a new women's champion. We have an ongoing story with Cody and the United States Championship. Those stories are ongoing, but there is a lot of new going on with it, and within that there are a lot of new faces. And again, with the whole identity that I do think they are trying to establish with SmackDown is that it is going to be SmackDown. I think SmackDown is going to be the show mainly for wrestling. And this is how we're going to get you over. This is how the exposure is going to be. We are going to focus on the work within the ring. As for Raw, will probably be more the promo show due to the people that are on it. Now, I do think some people, if this transfer window is still effective, that we need to bring people over to, just to add some star value to it. Because I think what is setting off SmackDown to make it not as likable, if you will, why it struggles with this 3 hours, because I will admit, I struggled with the 3 hours this week too. It dragged a little bit for me as well. But I don't think it was boring or horrible, because there is a lot that I appreciate about it. But again, where yes, there was a lot of matches, and a lot of matches were given time, like the tag team matches that we had between Los Garza and Pretty Deadly, along with Motor City Machine Guns versus A-Town Down Under. We had this amazing fatal four-way for the women's champion, number one contender for the women's championship. Would have liked to prolong that another week. I also would like for the women's championship match to be on Saturday night's main event, but hey, it is what it is. I would also like for LA Knight versus Shinsuke Nakamura to be Saturday night's main event. We'll get more into that later on, but the lack is that there's just a lot of people that we're attracted to, that we're attached to, that we're invested in, that we want to see succeed. Sure, there are going to be some people who are like, yes, I am already invested in the Motor City Machine Guns because I saw them in the indie scene. Most people, who are watching WWE, did not see them in the indie scene, so therefore they're completely brand new. Same with Los Garza. They kind of went into obscurity. Pretty Deadly, they had some bits in the backstage segment with their musical segment, which I still want to see for the most part. But, for the overall audience, they're not completely invested in that, so therefore it is completely brand new. This Women's United States Championship with Chelsea Green and Meechin that we are continuing on, again, it is brand new. It's just going to take time for it to actually start clicking and for us to get more invested into it. I think there's going to be a big portion of this show, of SmackDown, where we still have to do Bloodline versus Bloodline, which I am very much over with. That's going to have to be the main event, is a Cody, a Jimmy Uso, or Jacob Fatu, Solo Sikoa, because those are the stars that we're invested in, and we are invested into their stories. I mean, hell, Solo's only taking a week off, and he's already getting the return graphic like he is Roman Reigns. Because, again, we know that's a character on SmackDown that people are invested in, so therefore we need to promote it. Once we get a Drew McIntyre over here officially, which I heard was the plan, a Sami Zayn, and then, we can start pairing these people up a little bit, I think the show is going to get a lot better. And again, as the more time is given with Los Garza, whether it be more on TV consistently, Pretty Deadly getting more consistent. I think they have a good thing going on with this gaslighting storyline that they are dealing with DIY, where we're just like, come on, Pretty Deadly, see the errors of your ways. Don't trust these guys. They're bad. And, you have Apollo Crews coming in, which I kind of hope becomes a weekly thing where he's just like, man, it ain't right. You're pretty dumb if you keep doing that. I hope it's not a joke and is actually used for character development, because I think we have something there with that. Motor City Machine Guns, again, elevating A-Town Down Under a little bit. I guess the breakup is not going to happen now. We are just not going to do it. We had definitely missed the mark for that. I think that's the biggest weakness when it comes to SmackDown. Again, you have to put these big matches on for us to stay within it. Like, I really have no idea why Bayley versus Tiffany Stratton's not happening at Saturday Night's Main Event. It's in 2 weeks, and there has nothing been announced for that show whatsoever. Now, it's just on primetime television, so maybe it's just going to be a makeshift card every single time. But I would still like some promotion when it's happening. It just seems like we're kind of ignoring it, and we're going straight to the Rumble, which, it's fine. It is what it is. But again, it's just, you could tell the roster's thin of the people who we are invested in. So we have to put these big matches on. We have to have these title matches that we should be saving for PLEs or special events on NBC. And we have to put them on SmackDown because, again, there's only so much more that we can do with it. Now, for the stuff that I did like, I liked the opening promo. I liked Paul Heyman coming out saying Roman's declaring for the Rumble. We're moving on from that, calling Cody Rhodes out. Kevin Owens coming in. They're having a scrap, moving on through it. I like the promo that LA Knight had when he kicked Jacob Fatu. I says they weren't using their inside voices, so I threw them outside. It's pretty telegraphed what was going to happen in the U.S. title match, where, again, they were having a good match, LA Knight and Shinsuke Nakamura, and there was a DQ, and it was just like, here we go again. But I do think that is the direction that we're heading towards when it comes to WrestleMania, because Solo Sikoa's time in the main event is over, so I think we'll probably do LA Knight versus Solo Sikoa, or maybe Jacob Fatu at WrestleMania for the U.S. title. I think that's the direction that we head. And, that could be a fun program for what it is. And again, that's just going to elevate the show much more because, we have someone we're invested in, 2 people that we're invested in that could take up 10 minutes of TV time. The Fatal 4-Way, I liked it. Again, back to what I hate that the Women's Tag Team Championships are gunning for a singles title. And I actually had a debate with this with a friend that they were like, well, if you got gold, wouldn't you want more gold? Like, do you ever want to stop getting gold to prove that you are the best? Yeah, sure, you're one half of the best tag team of the world, but now you want to be the best single star in the world. It makes sense to me. But again, these women's tag team titles and just the tag division as a whole is just such an afterthought. It just makes those titles feel like an afterthought too. I think they should focus on their titles being the most important. And I don't know why we didn't just go straight to the Nia Jax feud. Like, that story is money of like who was bullying who was manipulating who. You got some shades of gray of like who is the bad guy within this storyline. But it does seem like they wanted to do Candice LeRae versus Nia Jax versus Bianca Belair and Naomi properly. And maybe that is the best way to go because we also got, the Jade Cargill who attacked Jade Cargill in the background. And, we kind of limit it down to, okay, it's either Nia or Naomi at this point to see where it's going to go through. We even had a little bit of a tease within that Fatal 4-Way where Naomi and Bianca stared at each other and Bianca hit her with the hair accidentally. I think we all building up to that heel turn from Naomi, and then we can go on within that storyline. And again, if they stay on SmackDown, that's a more elevation. Again, it's just part of that time that's going to be given. But yes, I do agree. Even though I am a defender of the 3 hours, and I still want them to stick with the 3 hours, this show was a little bit rocky for the most part, and I can admit that. But I do think you're going to go through some woes before we get to the rows. And I think once we get on the road to WrestleMania properly and some more people come back and some of the next steps of these storylines happen, I do think the 3 hours is going to get better moving forward because, again, we need time to get invested within these characters. And once they are given that time, then again, we get invested. But let me know what you think. Comment below. Let me know your thoughts on this episode of SmackDown. Leave a like if you made it this far within the review. I do greatly appreciate it. And of course, hit that subscribe button as we continue to go down this road together. When it comes to wrestling, if you're into movies and television, we also do a bunch of those here too. So subscribe for that as well. But until next time, guys, I'll see you here at Lemon Studios.